I've got the very first Apple TV set-top box. I still use it all the time, but haven't felt the need for an upgrade. How much better does this new set-top box, how much better could it be, and will it be the update that encourages people to upgrade?
Hey, Emily, I think it can get a lot better. I think that there are definitely apps they could develop to be more engaging. If you look at what Comcast has done with Xfinity, for example, they've added a voice-enabled controller, a voice-enabled remote control. They've added apps that allow you to get scores from one show or from a game while you're watching another show. There's a lot of stuff that Apple could add to make it a more engaging experience, and I absolutely think voice is top on the list.
Hunter, you worked at YouTube for many, many years. You were also a writer on late-night television. You wrote for Conan. But how optimistic are you about the potential for Apple to be a big player in the streaming media business?
I think ultimately they have a shot to be quite a significant player, but it's not just because of an Apple TV device, it's because of the iOS ecosystem and the fact that we already have a remote control in our pocket or on our desk in the iPhone and the iPad. If you look at Amazon's bestseller list, though, the Fire Stick and Google Chromecast have been #1 and #2 for months over months over months. So Apple's coming late to this party of making more and more dumb TVs into smart devices. They've called it a hobby, but I think they need to turn it into something serious pretty quick.
Bob, what do you think this signifies about a potential streaming service, which, as far as we've heard, has been pushed back, pushed back, pushed back, pushed back, and a TV set has been shelved?
Yeah, I think it's actually an independent thing. It's easy to throw the two together, but my guess is any TV service they offer is going to work on existing Apple TV boxes too. They're not going to want to make it just work with the newest devices, I think. But what this does, as Crawford pointed out, is it allows them to have more horsepower so that they can run applications and do things like overlay content from one program onto another program and do the kinds of things that, frankly, I saw in smart TV demos 10 years ago that we still haven't really seen in the marketplace.
Now, I want to make a quick turn to Samsung because Samsung, as I mentioned earlier, $10 billion wiped off Samsung's market cap. They really misjudged how many S6, Galaxy S6 phones and S6 Edge phones were going to sell. Crawford, to you, Samsung has now lost its dominant position in China. Apple and Xiaomi are jockeying for the top spot there. Is Samsung in jeopardy of losing its dominance in the global smartphone market?
Yeah, they are. I mean, they absolutely are in jeopardy of losing it. But I will tell you that the progress out of that company is significant. I think when you look at the two most recent products that they brought out, they've frankly never been better. And yeah, they blew it on demand, and in terms of forecasting demand. But I would actually I would say that 6 months ago, what you're seeing in the results today represent the bad decisions that were made 6 months and a year ago. And I actually think that they're now on an upswing, and we may be seeing kind of a bottom here for Samsung.
Bob?
Yeah, I mean, I think there are challenges for the smartphone market, period. And that's going to impact Samsung. It's eventually, I think, even going to impact Apple.
But what about the upgrade cycle? Is that speeding up?
And I don't think it is. I think it's lengthening. And I think that's one of the challenges that they're facing. We're also seeing that on the high end, where Samsung has focused a lot of their efforts, it's going to be very, very difficult. The other thing is, I think we're seeing the transformation of Samsung as a company. It's going to be harder and harder to make money on devices. They're looking at more and more on the semiconductor and component side. And there's better margins there. It's a much different company, just like Sony has evolved. I think Samsung may follow a similar type of path.
What about the brand? I mean, even Tom Brady is using
I was going to say, the earnings announcement wasn't great, but Tom Brady saying he threw out his S6 to switch to an iPhone, and that's why he couldn't turn data over to the NFL investigators. That might have been the biggest loss of the week.